agreed to take you to court. One of the reasons why we had to take you to court was because you conflicted out our attorneys. And I'm not an attorney. I rely on the village attorneys to tell me what the proper procedures are for the village. So how am I supposed to make the best sound decision there is when the village attorneys are conflicted it out and I can ask them questions because they say we can't speak to you. That's number one. Number two, on various occasions, we try to, going back to the February 5th meeting, amend the agenda, put the item on the agenda, you agreed to come back on the 15th, and inadvertently took it off the agenda. You said that as trustees, we didn't have the right to make a motion, second it, to add items to the agenda.
What was the date you used?
The first meeting?
The first meeting that the proposal was brought to.
February 5th.
February 5th, okay.
And so from February 5th forward, we've been trying to work with you on this item. Like I said before, and members of the community that are here or haven't been here in all those meetings since February, I said to the mayor, I said, you know, when you're going to take the time to sit down and discuss whatever it is that you're not in agreement with the resolution. It never happened. It went so far as to my own mayor disrespecting me on the March 19th meeting and calling me a liar because he was in disagreement with me about the 1844 resolution and that I was wrong about speaking the village law and regulations, which states that trustees have the right to amend the agenda and add items to the agenda. It was very disheartening, but I knew I was correct. Because one thing that I do is I do my homework, and I make sure that I read the laws and regulations of the state. So for you to say that, you know, we took you to court, I think that the process of why we ended up in court also needs to be discussed, so members of the community know why we went there. Do you think I really want to spend additional monies paying an outside counsel? It comes out of our pocket, your pocket, my pocket. No, I don't want to do that. So something that could have been discussed and hashed out either here or in the back, and ended up having to be resolved in a court of law.
Can I ask you a question?
Yes, sir.
Do you think it was proper on February 5th for Trustee Kennedy to come out with new rules and procedures and throw them on the table for the first time out here in public and move for a vote? I had never seen them. Village Council had never seen them. No one in this administration had ever seen them. He comes out at the end of the meeting and says, Mayor, I want to make a motion. I got rules and procedures for the television, and we want to make it a motion now. If that's not called, what would you call it?
But that's why you have discussion, and we did. We went back, we discussed it, and we came back out, and it was agreed with all of us to read the resolution into the minutes, so it would give the opportunity to the members of the community to take a look at the resolution, and then you agreed at that same meeting, and we all voted for to place the item on the agenda for the February 15th meeting. So during that time frame, you know, it gave the attorneys the opportunity for them to see the resolution and so forth, or for you to come back and say, you know, what is here? What we're going to discuss.
Can I ask you another question?
Yes, sir.
After reading those procedures, as the mayor, once I got to a paragraph where it says the public would not be allowed on television, but only the internet, and a public comment meeting, do you think I, as a mayor, that said that number one would be transparency so everybody could see what's going on, would allow that to happen without fight?
But Mayor, that's what you needed to ask us. You needed to say, you know what is exactly, why do you want to put the public portion or the public comment on the internet? You never asked me that. So let on the agenda for discussion, we never had the discourse on the matter.
I think that what we also need to understand from my perspective is that there's a litany of things within that proposal that just gut the daily operations of the village completely out. It means that if we don't wait for the 4 trustees to get their input on someone's job performance, because that's really what it is. You have someone that's designated to perform these duties in a certain manner, and that's what they do, but that's not good enough. We've got to wait 2 weeks to speak to the 4 trustees to get their approval on what someone can do every day around here they get paid for anyway, as their job. And not stymie the public's movement. This is about public information, getting it out to people. And I understand the board wanting to be involved in the rules and procedures, but they got to be rules and procedures that actually make sense for the day-to-day operations.
Mr. Mayor, if you don't mind, give me an example of what you mean that something happens part of the broadcast.
Yeah, well, you're saying that before we can utilize the village's equipment and personnel to record something, it has to be approved by the board. There are a number of things that come through this building on a daily basis requesting we be there tomorrow, the next day. The board meeting may not happen until 2 weeks from then.
Mr. Mayor, I think the areas you're talking about is, we're talking about community programs that we know ahead of time, such as the parade, such as the local festival, such as the mission. You know that months in advance that that's going to happen.
So why wouldn't we record that? You would have a problem, you have to approve that?
Who's saying that you're not?
What you're saying in your rules is that it must be approved by the board before we can do it.
What we're saying is, those events that are for the public, that are public events, and we know we can be approved anyway, when it comes in front of us, whether it be the current parade or whatever it is, at that point, we have to see if this is a public event and report it.
Okay, I'll give you an example. A group of mayors calls me at 2 o'clock in the afternoon and says, Mayor, if you can, we're bringing over 6 other mayors and we want to have a press conference against the local banks regarding remodifications. Can you help us out? Can we do it in your community? I'm not going to record that because I got to wait for you guys to approve it.
Who say you're reporting?
That's what your rules and procedures say.
No, it's not. We're talking about community service programs. And that's what you're talking about here. Is it something that has to be directly?
And that's the reason that this keeps going on in the back room, it keeps going on everywhere. And let me finish, sir. The bottom line is on the 21st, we've got to go back to court. And we're going to see what kind of judicial system we have in the state Supreme Court. And see if it's for the people or not. Because this is really about the people's business. Not about 4 people's business or 5 people's business. It's about the general populace. We've got to take care of the people.
And once again, Mr. Mayor, the reason we went to court is to get an item on the agenda. All we asked for was to get, allow us to put items on the agenda. That's what we were asking.
But we can spend thousands upon thousands of dollars for attorneys to go to court to fight what the people can participate with. But when we need a forensic audit, we don't have the money. But what I can tell you is that I'm becoming very familiar with technology, and I can use YouTube and everything else like everybody else does. I'm going to keep waking up the people, and you can't stop me from mailing out to the taxpayers what's really going on here, because the people really need to know it. And as long as I'm sitting in this chair, the people's money will not be mismanaged. I will not allow it. I will not allow it. So when people talk about the mayor's got to drive, the mayor's got this, the mayor's got to have what he's got to have because I got to protect myself. And I've got to look out for my interests and my family's interests because I fight for the people. I serve the people. The same way I gave 10 years of my life to the military and almost 30 years to this fire department, I gave it with all of me. And until I'm out of this building, I'm going to do it that way. So help me God, and I keep telling you that, we're going to keep doing it. So let's do whatever we got to do. Adam, first, keep bringing the people up. Yes, sir. Folks, please. Now, if the way you and I do battle, Mr. Malone, back and forth, I don't remember editing him out. I mean, and this guy beats me up. I've known him. He's been my attorney before.
No, I haven't.
Yeah. We'll sidebar later, and I'll remind you when. That's attorney-client.
Thank you for the answer.
Hi, Mr. Moore.
First, I would like to thank Justice Winslow for giving us the opportunity to have this discussion on 1844. Despite Mayor Hardwick, the judge allowed us to have it. Mayor Hardwick, you keep on trying to turn this discussion into a budgetary discussion. It's an 1844 discussion. It has nothing to do with deficits or paying down debts. Now, with that being said, I have several items that I would like to point out. Mr. Kennedy, on community service programs, the last sentence, all members of the village board shall have an equal opportunity to appear on the program. I would suggest additional language. Specifically, it shall be notified 1 week in advance where possible. Because otherwise, I can see this mayor calling you up 5 minutes beforehand. And where possible, covers the situation that the mayor just spoke about, where a bunch of other mayors want to have some kind of a press conference.
Repeat that, Mr. Malone. What are you saying you want there now? That we not be able to do that?
No. Additional language after the final word program, change the period to a comma, and shall be notified 1 week in advance, comma, where possible.
Thank you.
Okay, that covers the scenario which the mayor just brought up. Secondly, relative to the zoning board and the planning board, I believe that additional language should be added, including all public hearings shall be broadcast unedited on channels 1844. Just tonight, this board approved a public hearing for a landmarks preservation matter. I think that all public hearings, no matter what board, should be on here. Secondly, the immediate effective date, I think that there is a problem with that, that it should be a specific date, possibly 2 weeks in advance. Finally, not finally, several other items. The mayor said that we are paying a ton of money, $60,000 a year, for the recording of these meetings. I would like to point out to the public that no, we are not. There has been no RFP. There has been no contract. There has been no request for bids. Real Time at this point is volunteering their services, and they are not getting paid because the mayor refused to give us an RFP. You went out and you purchased $12,000.
Any questions?
Excuse me?
That's your time.
Okay, I'd like responses to my things, and then I get a 2-minute rebuttal.
I don't have any responses for you. You asked Mr. Kennedy some questions.
I will take that on the budget.
Okay. Thank you.
Penny Lester.
Good evening, Mayor and Board.
Good evening, ma'am.
I concur with Trustee Pinheiro that the airing of the public comment clause in the resolution is actually giving more residents access to the content of these meetings. Although I could live with the public comments still being on TV 18 and 44, having them also on the village website is important. The reason I say this is that people who have regular old-fashioned antenna TV,
Ma'am, pardon me 1 second.
Yes.
Mr. J, you okay?
Yeah, just my butt hurt from the.
From now on, Mr. J, you can take that seat and place it any place in this room you care to, okay? Not a problem.
Just give us a little warning, Mr. J, before you,
We love you, man. Okay, sorry about that, man.
okay.
No.
Although I could live with the public comments still being on TV 18 and 44, having them also on the village website is important. The reason I say this is that people who have regular old-fashioned antenna TV reception or satellite TV do not get Channel 18, which is Cablevision, or Channel 44, which is Verizon Fios. They have been disenfranchised since the beginning of these broadcasts. At least these people then could go online at home or to the library to view the action if they want to access it. But my question is, did you, Mayor, go out for bid on the broadcast equipment, installation, and employee training that you said you purchased months ago, which, by the way, we were not told about until tonight?
Okay, first of all, I just want to make one thing clear. The contract with Real Time was not renewed because in the contract, the trustees were requesting the same language that was in this rules and procedures. I wasn't going to allow that to move forward. Secondly, bless you, the courts have now ordered us back to court on the 21st once these new rules and procedures have been adopted by the Board of Trustees. At that time, we'll find out in what vein the court wishes to continue. And I know on the media, I should say on the internet media, there were some rumors going out that no, this is the end of it, and that's not what the judge ordered. He said that this is it, and you don't have to go back to court. That's not true. This is ongoing, and rightfully so. Now, you had two other questions. Are they both for me?
The question that I had was, did you go out for bid on the broadcast equipment, the installation of the equipment, and the employee training on the equipment, which you said you purchased months ago?
Because of the price of the equipment, it didn't require that I go out to bid.
Aren't all things
No.
major purchases?
In fact, let
$12,000 doesn't go out
the
to bid?
purchasing agent come and tell you what the law says. I don't want to mislead you.
Okay.
Oh, Mr. Davis, she's got a pillow on her seat.
New York State law requires us to.
In the mic, please, so that people at home can hear this.
Sure. New York State law requires us, and that's the law that the Village of Freeport has adopted. Also, we didn't adopt that law, but New York State law says for purchases, we only have to bid, a sealed bid, if it's over $20,000. Under $20,000, depending on the amount of money, you'd have to go for written quotes, which is what we did. We obtained 4 quotes.
Also, as well, that if you guys have a state contract, you don't have to do it.
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay, well, as long as we got more than just one price from one place, then that satisfies me.
No, I don't have any relatives that make this kind of stuff. I wish I did.
Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Anthony Miller?
Yes, sir.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, ladies and gentlemen, of the board, and fellow residents, excuse me, I'm quite tired today. I've pretty much run out everything that I wanted to say about this resolution. I'm just glad that we finally have a chance to, the residents of the village, have a chance to discuss this. I was reading something today that my first lady gave me, and I made sure I wanted to come up here and say this to the trustees quite some time ago. It says, credentials are transient, character is permanent. And you all have shown us so much of your character in the past few months as regards to this resolution, because you were relentless in allowing the members of this community to be able to discuss this openly. It's a shame it had to go to court. It's Supreme Court at that, and there was media coverage and all, because this is not the Freeport I know. This is not the Freeport that we need to broadcast to the entire county. Actually beyond that, because I'll tell you now, I've shared this with members of the board. I had a young lady stop me in Penn Station one day because she recognized me from the coverage of the Freeport Village Board meetings. She wasn't even a resident of Freeport, which is why I was actually, in the beginning of this, actually in favor of the board meetings, at least the public comment section, being moved to the internet. As you know, I've said this many times before, the Nassau County Legislature does the exact same thing, and it works. And I also believe it controls who actually views this. I believe, we may not agree, Mr. Mayor, we may not agree, but I believe that it controls who views this. As far as I believe it'll be residents that go onto the website and look at this. And if it isn't, it also opens up the door. I know we had a discussion about how limited it may be for senior citizens. I'm proud to say my grandmother finally got herself a Kindle for Christmas. People are moving up, they're getting technologically sound now. I believe that we have to have a great grant writer here in Village Hall, someone that has.
Can I ask a question?
One second, sir.
Okay.
We've got to have someone here that's got the ability to write a grant. I believe that this resolution itself may even open up doors so that we can have technology like iPads, even computers, e-readers going into our senior citizen housing. So we have to look at the other side of this thing as well. And on top of that, with the remainder of my time, Mr. Mayor, we may not agree on many things. I do respect you, but I'll tell you this. One reason why I agreed with the board having a say, a big say over what's shown on television is, on occasion, your ability and the choices that you make and the information that you share with people in this community aren't always on par. Even with this resolution, when it was first yanked off of the agenda, instead of you sharing the resolution itself with the public, you emailed propaganda out to the community instead of showing them the black and white words introduced by the trustees.
First of all, first of all, a question I have for you, so I don't forget this. Do you think it's fair to tell the folks that are having a hard time managing their home, their prescription drugs, and their lives in general, that they need to go out and purchase a laptop or a computer to know what's going on in their community, or find the time and the way to get to a library for someone that has access to one, so that they can know what's going on in their community when we could give them that for free? Why would we do that? Secondly, people say that there's an embarrassment on the village. And I totally understand what you're saying. We have to understand, and I hope that everyone takes one of those sheets before they leave in the back to show out that pay down. The reason I keep saying that is because right now, when we sat down in these seats at the beginning of my term, our debt was at $154 million, Council?
Roughly.
Close to $160 million. It's now down to what? Hand me one of those sheets in the back, please. Sean. The public needs to know this. 130, it's down to $134 million. That's a big deal. Now, what's imperative, excuse me, Mr. Miller, what's imperative for us is the following. If Freeport doesn't really get a hold of itself with regard to spending and getting really into big economic development, really making a target of our industrial park to turn it around, knowing that it has more than 14 empty commercial buildings, knowing that our number one tangible in this village for marketing is the fact that we're 52% lower than any other competitor when it comes to electricity. We keep fighting over nonsense when there's a lot more important fights that we should be battling with to better the quality of life for the taxpayers, for those folks that really can't afford to buy your computer or your laptop so that they can watch these meetings, but need to have a sense of insurance that the people that sit here on this dais are battling on their behalf. And if we're battling for all the wrong reasons, when all those good things escape us and the opportunities, it's not good. It's not good. And not everybody's made to be a member of the board. That's just the way it is. By virtue of the fact that someone's been fortunate enough to be elected doesn't mean that they really should have been here. Because there's got to be a sense of measurables for this village. There has to be a sense of accomplishments. So I certainly appreciate your comments, but anytime we exclude any segment of the population, I cannot agree to it. And because of the way in which these rules and procedures were written, I was far, far, far away from understanding why the 4 trustees would agree to such a thing. I have my own ideas, but I'm totally in disagreement, and I'm not going to stray from that. I just think it's wrong to tell the public that they can't participate.
I honestly respect your opinion, Mr. Mayor, I do. But at the same time, you talk about some of the foolishness, I know, for lack of a better term. You've used most of the ammunition in this useless battle over this resolution. I sat and watched it. You voted for this to be put on the agenda along with the board. And then you removed it.
And I told you the reason why.
I'm sorry.
I'm sorry.
Like I said, and not to cut you off, Mr. Mayor, I'm sorry. But like I said before, the last time we spoke about that, what you did was unconstitutional. And the judge told you that. It's a shame that we had to go to the Supreme Court for this.
That's not what the judge told me.
The judge ordered you.
You weren't there, my friend.
But I read it.
No,
because
that's not what he said.
Mr.
Go
Mayor,
ahead.
thank you. The judge told you. I read the order. You had to put it on the agenda. But the state village, at least the village law, told you the same thing. Trustee Pinheiro read it to you before we went to court. And I say we because they're my trustees as well. These are things that could have been avoided.
Can I tell you what the judge told us?
Go, please, right? Go right ahead.
Okay, what the judge told us was that we're here because you're saying the law was broken by virtue of the fact that they were trying to vote in such rules and procedures. I can't say as a judge that that has happened because it never got voted on. So what I'm ordering is that you allow them to vote, and if there's anything unconstitutional about the things that they vote on, then we're going to hear it on the 21st. So,
I'm sorry.
any other questions? I'm not going to battle with you. I respect your opinion.
It's not a battle. It's just a conversation, Mr. Mayor. That's what the room is for.
I mean, I say battle in terms of conversation.
No. I've seen it. I'm looking at an email that initiates a battle. Stop Freeport Trustees Pinheiro and Kennedy from taking public comment off of Channel 18 and 44. I mean, this is just venomous, the way it's written.
Venom?
It is venomous.
Sir, let me tell you something.
Go right ahead.
I slept in place